Uh, Let me put, okay, continue. So I'm Tamara Russell, and I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Karen Fraser, Colby de Mattos. And we're just looking at the notepad that she had from the event where we first met. And I'll let her share and explain a bit.
First, I wanted to share the ticket, right? And that's why, right, Tam, we often say the Dalai Lama made me do it.
And yeah, so that was a conference in Sao Paulo, 2011. So coming on 10 years now, where I was presenting about care for the carers. And at the end of the presentation, of course, many people were trying to get in contact with His Holiness, but I saw this lovely face making a beeline towards me. And yeah, go ahead, Karen.
Oh, it was amazing because well, look at what I found also. This is my notes from the conference, and then I kept it because it was so dear to me. And it starts out with, beyond our differences, there's common hope, you know? And I remember going to this conference with 4 dear friends and colleagues. And we were the only educators there because it was only for health practitioners. But we thought, hey, it's His Holiness. Let's just go, right? And with when you spoke and when you talked about how the patients whose nurses and whose doctors were practicing mindfulness. They weren't teaching their patients mindfulness, but they were practicing mindfulness, how they were healed in such an amazing way. And that just struck us. And I remember looking at them, you know, and saying, oh my gosh, this is it. So I had to run to you. And I don't know if you remember, but this was almost 10 years ago. And I said, Dr. Tamara Russell, would you be willing to give a course online? And you just smiled. And you said, I'm going to be here for a whole month in Brazil.
Well, I mean, times have changed, haven't they? So now we are doing something finally 10 years later online. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I think the study that I often cite there is about therapists, which is therapists that practice. It was actually a Zen meditation before they went in to see their clients. They were patients because they were in a hospital. Those that had meditating therapists had better outcomes. And of course, in the intervening 10 years, there's been just, you know, so much more evidence that any caregiver, really, whether that's a professional caregiver, an unpaid caregiver, peer supporters, anybody who is responsible for the well-being of somebody else, it makes a huge difference if they themselves can regulate their emotions and develop self-care and self-compassion. But of course, these are tricky customers to deal with. The doctors, the nurses, the educators, the mums, those that are used to this quite self-sacrificing style and ways of working are tricky customers when it comes to self-compassion and finding time for self-care. And I think that's why, Karen, you've got such a depth and breadth of experience in education. You know these people, you know these teachers and how passionate they are, how much they care about the kids, and you know how to work with that angle as well. Maybe you can say a wee bit about that.
And my experience has been that they're always thinking about somebody else, right? And they always want to do the best so that their students, their children, their teenagers, whoever they're working with, just have the best experience possible. And often they forget what we normally see in the airplanes, right? First, the mask goes on, you know, you oxygen the oxygen mask goes on you first, and starting with the self. And I think that it's so hard to just have the time to do that, because often what happens, Tam, and now in the pandemic, is that there's so much on the teacher's plate. Everybody had to reinvent themselves, and schools are having to reinvent themselves as well. And now families participate, right, a lot more, because they can see what's going on in the classroom. So there's so much, and a lot of difficulty with this challenge, you know, and it has impacted us in such a way in our bodies, in our hearts, in our minds. And I worry about burnout, because you have to nurture yourself, right? You can't really give if you don't have anything else to give, right? But,
and maybe you could just say a little bit here, because I know that we've started, well, you've started, but this Moment of Care webinar, and I suppose there's something really genuine and beautiful about what you've offered there. Maybe you can say a little bit about that, because that's something that's free to people to attend. It's a global community of educators, and it has that, maybe that first small step towards even thinking about doing something for yourself. I know we've got some courses and some training coming up, but this might be just a dip a toe option for people that might want to come and experience what we're talking about. But maybe say a little bit about that.
Sure. We talked often about that, and making things accessible also, right? And so I'm offering 2 times. One is a UK friendly time and the other one is the America's friendly time. So every first Thursday of the month, at 4:30 UK time, we have a drop-in, you know, when people around the world come. And last time I had people from California joining us, and it was just amazing, you know. We have people from Africa and people from different parts of Europe, you know, and sometimes we even have people from Brazil who decide that, hey, I'm going to do this at this time, you know. The other time I offer that is on Monday nights. Then it's São Paulo time from 7 to 9. And we've had a variety of people come and go, and it's hard to make it happen, right? So
yeah, and this is what we're finding, isn't it? We want to encourage this global community of practitioners and the richness of what happens when educators from different global communities come together. But from the organizational side, it's a little bit tricky, isn't it? But we try our best to work in ways that are kind and compassionate to us as well. And so thank you very much, Karen. And we'll kind of pull to a close there. There'll be a few other videos where I'm going to be talking more to Karen about some of her experiences working as a bilingual educator, her learning and her understanding of mindfulness, the way she works with creativity. She's trained as a creative practitioner, and has a great wealth of experience as well in creative practice and performance theatre. And a few other unique, special essences that she brings to her mindfulness work, which we're going to chat about in some other videos. But this was just a quick, short introduction to how we met and how what's been an incredible journey together over 10 years. And let's see what the next 10 years brings. So thank you very much, Karen.
That warmed my heart. Thank you so much. Bye.